I'm Natasha Chilingarian.
I'm Michael Ogden. This is Shared Accounts with CU Times. Natasha, producer Zach, it has been a while since we've done this, but I think it is now time for us to play a game. Are you guys up for it?
Yeah, no, I agree.
I am.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
I thought of this one a couple of days ago, or maybe it was yesterday, but I'm calling this game Credit Union Madlibs. You all remember how Madlibs worked?
Of course. Oh,
right?
yeah.
Like in the car, everybody would say but, or something like that for one of the words, whatever.
Sure.
So
Yep.
what I'm going to do, I've already written a brief story, and I'm going to call out the type of word I need. And I think what we're going to do is take turns. Are you good with that, Natasha and Zach? Like, I'll yell out, I need a verb.
Yeah.
Or,
Yeah, I think that makes the most sense. Yeah, let's do it that way.
I'm good with that.
Okay. Let me pull up the story, and Natasha will start with you, okay?
Okay.
Okay. First word, I need an adjective.
Friendly.
Okay. Zach, I need a plural noun.
In honor of your description, butts.
Oh, boy.
Natasha, I need a person's name.
A person? Okay.
Person's name.
I don't know. Maggie.
Great. Producer Zach, I need a verb.
Run.
Boy, you're sticking to the easy ones here. Okay. Natasha, adjective. I'm already laughing at this.
Infuriating. Is that an adjective? I think so. I hope so.
Sure, why not? Zach, I need an emotion.
Excited.
Okay. Natasha, I need a noun.
Eagle.
God, you could think of eagles like 24/7.
I kind of do, yeah.
I know. Zach, I need a date. Like a date on the calendar. Or a holiday. I don't care. Boring.
February 12th.
Sure, that's sexier.
Close to Valentine's Day.
Natasha, I need a verb. Verb.
Act.
Great. Zach, a plural noun. Butts is already taken.
You're right. Clouds.
Fantastic. Natasha, a verb.
Play.
Zach, a noun.
Michael, how long is this story?
How long?
We haven't done that many. We haven't done that many, honestly. It's just taking a bit. You'll be fine.
Tiger.
Great. Natasha, a type of food.
Pizza.
Okay. We have 6 left. We're almost done.
All right.
Zach, I need an adjective.
Tall.
Natasha, an animal.
Oh, all right. well, we already said my favorite one, and I can't say again. So how about whale?
Ooh, good one. Zach, another plural noun. Is he going to go back to the butts whale?
Boats.
Okay. Natasha, adjective.
Pretty.
All right. We have 2 more. Zach, adjective.
Ugly.
And Natasha, you get the last one, a plural noun.
Computers.
Okay. All right. Here it is. Thank you all.
Okay. Oh, gosh.
Madlibs. This story is titled A Day at the NCUA. I thought I would make it tied in today's interview.
Yeah.
Okay. So here we go. Today, the National Credit Union Administration, NCUA, held a friendly press conference to announce a new policy on butts. According to NCUA Chairman Maggie, this decision will run credit unions across the country. Quote, "This is an infuriating step toward ensuring that every credit union member feels excited about their financial future," said the chairman while standing next to their giant eagle. The new regulation, which goes into effect on February 12, requires all credit unions to act before they can offer clouds. Many industry experts say this will play member trust and improve Tiger security. Back at NCUA headquarters, staff members celebrated by eating pizza and hosting a tall trivia contest about credit union history. One employee even dressed up as a giant whale to show their support. When asked what's next for the agency, an NCUA spokesperson hinted at upcoming plans to modernize boats and make compliance pretty for small credit unions. In short, it's been an ugly day for regulators, credit unions, and of course, all the hardworking computers who keep our financial system running. That's it.
Bravo. I'm impressed that you put that together. That is awesome. It also took me right back to I don't know, just reminding me of being in maybe third grade with a friend, in the summer, and we got one of those Madlib books, and we're sitting there, passing the time. That was fun times. Yeah.
Yeah, we needed more butts in it, though. I will say.
Something else that an 8-year-old boy would say. Exactly. We should have done that.
Oh my goodness. What'd you think, Zach?
I was just going to say needs more butts has been the number one feedback I've gotten producing the show.
Okay. Fantastic. All right. Okay. You two, thank you so much for playing. I enjoyed it. We'll do that one again, but maybe we'll keep the story a little bit shorter. Okay. Everybody else, welcome to Shared Accounts with CU Times. Breaking news. Hey, everybody. Weirdly, we recorded that Madlibs game you just heard a couple of weeks ago. But as of yesterday, April 16, President Trump fired board members Todd Harper and Tanya Otsuka. We had previously done an interview with our guest today, Elizabeth Ergubian, at that time, but we scrapped the whole thing because, well, the NCUA world blew up and has radically changed what we all talked about in that interview. So we have brought her back to discuss this ongoing breaking news issue at the NCUA. So joining us again, but for the first time for our listeners, is Elizabeth Ergubian, partner at the Washington, D.C.-based Atlas Advocacy. She was formerly with the NCUA as Director of External Affairs and Communications Policy Advisor under then-Chair Todd Harper. Elizabeth, thank you so much for coming back on with us.
Yes, it's my pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Of course.
Hey, Elizabeth. So glad to have you back. Thanks for making the time on short notice, too. Really appreciate it.
Anything for my credit union friends.
Oh, I appreciate that.
Thank you.
All right. So let's just jump right into it. So the news broke yesterday morning that both Todd Harper and Tanya Otsuka had been fired by President Trump. So first thing I want to ask you is, when you heard that news yesterday, what was your reaction? What went through your head?
Well, I mean, part of me always thought this could happen. Was sort of mentally preparing that something like this could happen and the administration would maybe make such a move like this. But even when you sort of think something could happen, you're still surprised when it does. Mm-hmm. So I was surprised, even though I always figured it could happen. But most importantly, I always think of things from perspective of the credit unions and the credit union members that they serve. And I just can't think of or fathom how this decision to have only one member on the board really aligns with the interests of credit unions and their members. Mm-hmm. So if there is something I'm missing, I'm anxious for someone to educate me on that, but I can't see how this serves the industry and their members.
We haven't heard a clear answer to that, honestly. But the big question, or one of many questions right now that we're asking ourselves, we're asking, our sources, people out in the industry, is what does this mean for the NCUA right now? Do you have any thoughts on that?
I do. A few thoughts for purposes of the NCUA. So there are a lot of things that have to be done with the full board. That's why we have a board. You read the statute. The NCUA operates with a bipartisan 3-member board. 2 members can be of the same party. 1 has to be of a different party. So usually, that's how the board is made up, and the board approves the budget. They make regulatory changes. They approve regulations. They approve regulatory changes. Major enforcement actions, you need a board vote. So there are a lot of things that are needed at the NCUA that the board vote is needed in order to really run the show. Normal operating level changes there, you need a board vote. There are other things, though, that can be done without a board vote that are NCUA board delegated authorities. So the board can delegate different jobs and different tasks to others at the NCUA, and they could carry out business. So it's not like a situation where, oh my God, now we don't have 2 board members, we have to close up shop. I mean, no. There is a lot that can be done at the NCUA because of these delegated authorities. Things such as, letters to credit unions, those could still go out. Even some decisions on mergers and field of membership applications and charter applications, those types of decisions can be made. I mean, any appeals, you need an NCUA board for that, but basic decisions can be made at the director level. And, certain examination decisions, the examination schedule, other types of basic operations, operation of the share insurance fund and the investments there can be conducted with, NCUA staff, day-to-day operations of the share insurance fund. Any approval or denial of certain QSO activities, that could be done, maybe at the GC, general counsel, and director level.
Yeah.
Certain enforcement actions can be done at the regional director level. And I think I mentioned adjusting the examination schedule. That can be done at a director level.
Mhm.
And then finally, interagency meetings and policy actions that aren't regulatory changes. So things that are done with the other agencies that are like guidance, not necessarily a regulatory change. Those can be done by the chair, and they have been. Chairman Harper, engaged in those kinds of decisions without the consultation of the full board. So that can be done. And of course, the chair is the public spokesperson for the NCUA. So the chair can say, this is our policy. This is what we're doing. This is what I care about. And they don't need, a full board to do that. What you do need the full board for is, like I said, regulations, budget, major agency policy changes, regarding the normal operating level, if you're going to adjust the interest rate cap, those types of things, major enforcement actions. Those issues are why you have a board.
Yeah. Elizabeth, can I ask for some clarification really quick?
Sure.
You were talking about mergers and acquisitions. So are those on hold at the moment? Like anything that hasn't been approved yet?
As to if they were on hold, but there are some decisions that can be made with regards to like field of membership and chartering credit unions, and maybe some merger decisions that could be made without the full board.
Okay.
Anything that's a little more extensive or is an appeal, for example, that's where it gets tricky and you're going to need a full board.
Interesting.
Yeah, because just so you know, we are asking credit unions in the process of merging or acquiring, other credit unions that haven't had regulatory approval yet. Like, well, what's your status? So
Right.
Yeah. Well, and that gets to another issue. I think you had another issue where, let's say you didn't need the NCUA board for some of these things. You also have to consider the human element of what this does to an agency when they lose two of their leaders.
Oh, we're going to talk about that here in a second. Okay.
Right. Anyway, no, thanks for clarifying that, Elizabeth, because we were wondering about the M&A things, if that's on hold, because there was a big one just announced out of California, merger that's coming up. So yeah, that's interesting. Okay, so let's get into, just what happened with Todd Harper. We have actually been communicating with him, or Michael has, I believe, via email.
Yeah.
He actually stated that he is looking into his legal options, I suppose, to, potentially fight this removal. So just curious to hear from you as an attorney, how complicated has this become for him legally? Like, what are his options and what might that look like if he wants to bring a case against, I guess, the Trump administration?
I think part of it is you have to look at what the removal is based on. I've heard some rumors. I don't know if they've communicated that to Todd Harper or Tanya Otsuka. Folks can be removed for cause. Is there a reason behind that that would compel him to be removed, or both of them to be removed in that regard? Also, I think it's powerful in both of their cases that there's both of them. So they can team up in a way that could probably help their legal argument a little bit more. There was some issues with board member Harper before and questions regarding his term, whether or not that term could be renewed.
Right.
So he has that issue that makes his legal case a little more, I don't want to say cumbersome, but have a little more, another word for cumbersome. I wouldn't say cumbersome, but something to kind of work through. It's like a math problem. You got to work through that little aspect.
Yeah.
It's like a small strike against him.
So,
possibly,
he would have to manage that. Whereas Tanya's, she has one term. Board member Otsuka has one term. She hasn't even completed that one. So hers is very, on its face, it's an easy math problem. She didn't get to serve her term. She only got to serve like 1 year of it.
Yeah.
And that's a much easier, I think, way to challenge that she's being removed just for no reason. Whereas board member Harper,
Mhm.
he, I think, benefits working with board member Otsuka on any legal challenges. But again, his term, based on the way it's been interpreted, is not up until 2026. And he was removed before 2026. So,
Right.
I mean, he also has a legal claim to staying
Right.
there. They both do. It's just how good your arguments are. I mean, how something ultimately plays out is really for a judge to decide. But I think they both have very strong arguments that they should not be removed.
I have kind of an analogy that I heard earlier this morning on a call with a source to your point about how Harper was reinstated by former President Biden.
Yes.
You know, some people question the legality of that. This person said to me, this made me laugh. Well, Biden may have cheated at the game, but Trump set the game on fire.
That's interesting.
That is how
Yep,
this person
pretty
put
much.
Because when
Yeah.
Chairman Harper got that term renewed, or he was renominated for the other term, I was working at CUNA at the time, and I did my own legal analysis of the statute and whether or not that renomination was consistent with what my reading of the statute was. And I spent some time looking at it myself, and I thought it was. So
Mhm.
there were some folks that said, no, it's not. And so I went in with an objective mind like this. I'm not working for him at this point. I'm working for CUNA. And I looked and I said, this
Yeah.
reading makes sense to
Right.
me. And it seems very valid to me. Now, I'm not a judge. It really depends on what a judge decides. But
Right.
it really was clear to me, based on my reading of the statute and other things, that his nomination was completely legal, his renomination, and consistent with the reading of the statute. Now, if others have a different interpretation, well, whatever. But you honestly think I would have taken
Yeah.
the job working for Chairman Harper if I thought he was subject to a legitimate challenge? I'm an attorney too.
Excellent point.
I think I would have probably thought about that before
Yeah.
accepting the position to work with him. And because I was pretty confident, I did accept the position to work for him.
Yeah. All right. During our initial conversation, Elizabeth, we were talking about the inner workings of the NCUA. On that interview, we're going to just have to redo it someday. But we were going through some fascinating things that happen at the agency out of public view. And I was wondering what you think at this moment in time, having worked there in your capacity, like you're talking about. You were there for 3 years. What do you think is going on inside the NCUA right now? What will that feel like potentially?
So, yeah, two parts of the question. What do I think is going on, and how does that impact others on the outside? I have to guess because I'm not in there. But from my perspective, I think there is a lot of concern, a lot of worry, and I think folks are upset. I don't think I'm really stretching here by making this guess.
Mm-hmm.
But the thing that's unusual that maybe others don't know, everyone has a superpower, you know, we're all good at one thing and not good at other things. One of the things I felt, particularly with former Chairman Harper, now board member Harper, his superpower was just being able to be there, be present, be accessible, be an empathetic ear, be a team player, leader, whatever, to the folks that worked at the agency. Because when he took over the agency, it was during COVID. I mean, everyone was dealing with the trauma of that. And it was important to him that he make everyone feel like they belonged at this agency, that their work was valid, that they were appreciated, that they could say whatever they wanted to him. And he was an ear to listen to that. So his superpower, I think, was how he really cared about every single person that worked there. And when you have an agency that's very decentralized and that you have field, examiners throughout the country, they're not all in the central office. In fact, most of the agencies is in the field, not in the central office. Building that sense of community among everybody is really difficult to do. And it's even more difficult to do during times of isolation during COVID. That was his superpower. He could do that very well and make everyone think and believe that he knew who they were and everything about them, and he was there for him. Because that was legitimately his authentic self. So if I'm thinking, one of the first things I'm thinking when I hear this news is, this person who's championed all these examiners, spoke at all their events, been so present in their lives and in their work, is now no longer there and has been fired. What does that mean for them? How are they going to take that? So in short, I think it's really going to impact their morale to not have this person there, because that was really what he was very, very good at. And the other board members are good at this as well, but it was definitely his strength. And to not have that, I think, is is going to be difficult for examiners in particular.
Well, and not just one, but two board members.
2 board members. So you have the one that's been really fighting for them. Because remember, board member Harper was an NCUA staff member, before. He had the job I had before he was an NCUA board member. So he had that perspective of what it's like to work at the agency. And he understood them and he used that. He showed that he understood what it was like and he could communicate that to the team. And then you have board member Otsuka, also very good at that. She was only there for about a year or so she didn't have the time that board member Harper did have to really develop those relationships. But she did show that she really cared about the team and she put them first as well. So to lose that is difficult, I think. Now, the current chair, same. I mean, I think he shares that same philosophy. So I think that's helpful. But again, you're losing these 2 people that really put the team first. And that is hard to swallow. I mean, I think that would be hard for folks working there to swallow.
All right.
Absolutely. No, I'm sure it's a drastic change. And yesterday, I mean, this news was just so shocking to me. Like last night, as I was like cooking dinner, I was thinking about, I was like, I wonder like Todd and Tanya, like, what are they doing right now? Like, how are they doing mentally? And just thinking about that and gosh, yeah, and obviously it's affecting the employees as well. But another thing we wanted to bring up regarding the employees at NCUA, we've heard that some of them are being offered voluntary separation programs for those that maybe they're close to retirement or just want to take a buyout in order to reduce the full number of employees at the agency. And we actually have heard about a few employees that have gone ahead and taken up those offers. I guess, like, what else can you say, Elizabeth, about what do you think it feels like for these employees hearing that you're given this option to just leave? Obviously, we're speculating here, but what do you think they're thinking? Do you think a lot of them are just, I better start looking for another job and this doesn't seem stable? Or, what do you think that some of them are feeling?
It probably depends on what part of the agency they work in. I can't imagine anyone feels their job is safe at the NCUA. I can't imagine anyone, even up the very top, thinks that. So there's probably a lot of individuals making those considerations as to whether they should take that. It's tricky because when you work for the government, especially NCUA, you're making an investment. So you want to accrue so many years because you get a pension, and your pension, it really depends on how long you've been there and at what salary you've been there. I mean, that's one of the reasons I wanted to stay until the transition time, in February, because my pension would then be calculated at my high 3 salary. And my highest salary was at NCUA. So I needed those 3 years and I was short. If I left right at the inauguration day, I would have been short. So all of these little mathematical equations really play into some of this decision making. I mean, if you have 1 year left before you're going to have, a big pension calculation that works in your favor, you're really going to want that 1 year. So there's a lot of that really plays into the decision making. If you just started there, you're there a couple years. Yeah, I mean, you're thinking, well, I don't really have the investment here, so it's not going to make as much of a difference to me if I leave. The other thing folks don't realize is NCUA is an independent agency. It pays well. It's not normal government. It's not like working for HHS. You know what I mean? You are making some good money. And there are people that work for the NCUA that are making salaries they may not make in the private sector. So that's another indication. I'll give you an example. I made more at NCUA than I did at CUNA. So think about that.
Wow. Yeah.
And I know there's a lot of folks
it's an incentive to hold on to it.
Yeah, there are a lot of folks that are in that boat. So they're not going to just say, oh, yeah, I'll take the buyout. They might take their chances.
Right.
I think what we're hearing too, or what I think I am most concerned as a person who cares about the industry and reports on it, it's the field workers, the examiners, the offices out in, Texas and wherever. That's the level I'm a little more concerned about, honestly, as far as the stability for the industry as well. And those employees out there. We have heard that some in those regional offices have accepted these buyout offers. We don't know how many, though.
Yeah.
Well, and actually on that, this morning, we were chatting with our reporter, Peter Strozniak, and we were halfway joking about how, I wonder if it's going to be easier for all the embezzlers and internal fraudsters out there if they're not getting audited as much, if there aren't people doing that. It's a question. Yeah. I mean, is that going to function the same way?
Yeah.
The examinations.
If this drags on.
I don't know.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if you don't have folks enforcing, I mean, I'm going to jaywalk if no cop is watching, right?
Damn right.
Yeah.
Yeah. We just have a couple of more questions for you, Elizabeth, but I do have to ask. We met them the first time we recorded. Sunny and
Yes,
Bear
you
are
might
your
hear them
two
in the background.
dogs.
I apologize.
It's fine. I like to acknowledge our pet friends, Sunny and Bear. Okay, so I'm going to set up the question like this. Doge has been inside the agency for exactly 1 week as of this recording, and we've had 2 board members fired, employees offered buyouts, and they appear to be wanting to reduce the number of employees by 18 to 20%. That's what we're hearing. I guess the question is this: are we heading toward the NCUA being combined with the other financial regulators under the Treasury umbrella?
I would take that threat very seriously.
Yeah.
Absolutely. If there's any concern that folks have to that, they need to be addressing and developing a game plan to fight that, because the direction looks that direction. I don't think they got to draw it any more clearly than what's going on.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks for the straight answer.
Well, and that goes back to that question you asked earlier of how will that benefit the credit union industry if that is where we're headed? Like you said, there's no answer
Yeah,
to
if I
that.
were a credit union, that is definitely in no way something that I would want for my institution or my members.
No.
Absolutely under no circumstances. It's as big, if not bigger, than the tax threat.
Wow. Okay.
All right, well, we will see how this unfolds. Okay, any final thoughts, Elizabeth, on what are you doing now? Like, what are you keeping your eyes on regarding this issue with the NCUA? Like, are you just kind of going forward the next couple of weeks? Like, what are you going to be looking out for? And are you in touch with people that are still there? And what does this kind of look like for you looking ahead?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. I do have some communication with individuals. I had great relationships there. I loved all the people I worked with. It was truly a pleasure to work there. And I do have some great relationships. I have to be careful. I can't lobby the NCUA directly for another, few months. So I could still work for clients and do things, but I can't sit and have a meeting face to face with an NCUA person for a little more time. So I monitor that. But otherwise, I have informal conversations. I'm watching the news just like everybody else is. I'm talking to clients and prospective clients about what I think they need to be thinking about. And generally, I'm letting folks know, and it's not just in the credit union space, it's in other spaces with other clients I've had. If you're saving up for a rainy day, the rainy day is here. Okay. So we need to start really looking, and advocacy needs to be top of mind every single minute of the day, because today is the rainy day. And this is the time where, particularly credit unions, if there was ever a threat against your tax status, against your regulator going away, it is now. I spoke to one prospective client recently, where they're like, well, we just want to put our head down and, maybe ride this out. And I told him, I said, you don't have to hire me. I don't care who you hire. But please, for the love of God, do not do that. I told you, whoever you go with, don't do that. You do not put your head down. You will not survive that. You have to put together a game plan, put together your advocacy, tag out every single resource you have, and fight for everything you want. Because if you do not, there's going to be a problem for you later.
Ladies and gentlemen, that is Elizabeth Ergubian. And that last answer she gave there, that was like our whole conversation we had 2 weeks ago. So, Elizabeth, thank you so much. You are fantastic. And everybody, she is a partner of Washington, D.C. based Atlas Advocacy, formerly with the NCUA, as Director of External Affairs and Communications Policy Advisor under then Chair Todd Harper. Elizabeth, we're going to have you back to have a normal episode with Sunny and Bear and with
I look
you.
forward to it.
And to get to know you better. For now, thank you so much for coming on with such short notice and giving us your take on the situation right now.
Yep. Anytime. Thanks for having me.
Thank you.
And for all of our listeners, stay tuned for more news on this topic and all credit union topics at cutimes.com. And of course, keep an eye on our lovely and weirdly popular shared accounts with CU Times podcast right here. Until next time, see y'all later.